Well, how about that for a start to a T20 World Cup? New Zealand, considerable, overwhelming underdogs against Australia. We thought that this should be easy for the Aussies, especially after they won the toss. Well, New Zealand have other plans. We spoke about Finn Allen, about Devon Conway. They've played the quintessential Allen and Conway role, and they've taken New Zealand to 200 in the first game of the Super 12s. We look back on that first innings on ESPN Cricket for T20 timeout with Tom Moody and Stephen Fleming. Before that, Anil Kumble in studio with me, and I wonder if at 200, he would be happier in the New Zealand dugout. Anil?
Yeah, I'm sure they'll be very happy because the start that Finn Allen gave, I mean, we spoke about it in the pre-show about how destructive he is. As a young player, first World Cup, just going there and then doing what he's good at, just going and smashing every ball. And it took him only one ball to get his eye in and then started off. I mean, that start, 56 of 4 overs, was brilliant start. Perfect foundation for the start of a World Cup.
Yeah, let's go to Stephen Fleming first up. Can't have it both ways. This is what we wanted to see from Finn Allen. Could he do it at the big stage against Mitchell Starc? We got our answer, Flem.
Well, didn't we? And not only that, it was the quality of hitting, and I guess a little bit short from the view, but long enough and he's really gained some confidence and momentum. And the runs were important, but just the signal it sent back to the dressing room and also to the Australians was really important. It really set them back. And one thing we know, especially with Tom Moody in the panel, that a confident Australian is really hard to stop. So to set them back in their tracks early was really important.
Tom, all yours, mate.
Oh, cheap shots, isn't it? It's early, isn't it? Isn't this really the first day for us being together as a family and as a team on Cricinfo? But
I thought New Zealand had the nice one.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Flem and I go back a long way, so I'm prepared to take a few punches. But yeah, on a serious note, it was a pitch perfect, really, performance with the bat from New Zealand. And one thing that really stood out for me is that it looked really well planned. You know, they followed through and committed to, you know, the brand of cricket they want to play. You know, Finn Allen, you know, was obviously given the freedom to play like he can play, and they were proper cricketing shots he was playing. It wasn't sort of any sort of agricultural sort of cricket. It was proper quality cricketing shots, and Conway, as we've seen so often in all formats of the game, just quietly go about his business and do it so efficiently.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that Devon Conway innings in just a bit, but Stephen Fleming makes the point of what that start does for you as a dressing room. Could you just extend on that point when you see Finn Allen do that to Mitchell Starc?
I mean, you know, Flem mentioned about the impact that it has on the dugout and also on the Australian bowling lineup. I don't think, yes, you know, the Aussies, I'm sure, knew about Finn Allen, his big hitting. But once that happens in the first couple of overs, then you're on the back foot saying, okay, now we need to get him out, otherwise we are in trouble, that kind of a situation. And it certainly has a major impact on the batting lineup when you're sitting and watching one of your batters just go about destroying the bowling attack in the first couple of overs. And that reflected, I mean, we spoke about the importance of Conway and Williamson, one of them batting through and everybody else just going and expressing themselves, and that's exactly what happened. Conway batted through 20 overs and New Zealand, 200 is a very good score.
Yeah, I mean, before I go to Flem on Conway, if I wonder, I could go back to you, Tom, just to see whether this was just breathtaking stroke play and batting, or are you looking at that and saying, gee, what are Australia doing? Could they have bowled any better in those first few overs?
I think they were initially stunned with the way that particularly Finn Allen took it to them. It's like they didn't have the answers, in their armoury to be able to sort of counter-attack from a bowling perspective. And the other thing is interesting, just looking and watching it live, there was quite a lot of sameness around the Australian attack and what they were trying to do. So, you know, I just wonder whether, you know, after this game, regardless of the result, they rethink around their bowling attack and what that may look like.
I wonder we should probably revisit that point at the end of this game. We know the options that they do have. They do have options to the Australian team. But let's spend some time on Devon Conway. We don't have a lot of time on this mid-inning show. We'll try and just cover it up at the end of the game. But this is just from the Devon Conway school of batting, Flem. I mean, we've seen this for CSK towards the end of the season. I'm sure you've seen enough of this too. But how easily does he just keep churning these out?
Yeah, he's a naughty accumulator, isn't he? He just does his work down the other end, and with a little bit of brilliance in between, all of a sudden you start to take note of a 50 or 36 balls, or he's going at 150 strike rate, and he does it in a really quiet way. It's almost an unassuming way, but in between some of those nudges, and the running was very good. I think it was mentioned on the commentary. The running was very good, and the placement was very good, which allowed the momentum in between the big shots, but there are the big shots that Conway does have. And when he does unleash, it just keeps propelling him forward. The big thing for me around the sort of Finn Allen-Conway discussion is Finn Allen's innings there. Is that the contribution that just pushes the game ahead for New Zealand? There were times then where with Williamson and Conway, it just got a little bit snagged. So is the natural tempo of the game still around a 170 wicket, 175, and Finn Allen's just a little bit for Australia on a good wicket, or New Zealand that Australia didn't in their middle stages through the cutters and changes of pace to shut it a bit. So really, but Conway certainly to hold the innings together and keep that momentum going was really important.
I wonder what you do to stop Devon Conway. It seems like every batter, once he's set, will change gears, and maybe he's vulnerable then, but Conway doesn't look like he's going to get out as he gets deeper.
He's very similar to a Kane Williamson, a left-handed Kane Williamson, and I've read that Conway has worked really hard on his game to play spin, counter spin, and obviously with his stint in the IPL, that also certainly helped in countering spin, and you could see that he was the one who was going to attack an Adam Zampa, and it was a matchup, and he was not holding back. I mean, that's what you want. And it didn't look like he was looking to overhit. He was just in control all the way, and anything on the offside. I mean, he's so good to watch, and he was brilliant today. And perfect execution of an innings that you would want a player to bat through, especially in this New Zealand innings.
Yeah, the point Flem makes about the start Finn Allen allowed New Zealand. It allowed them to perhaps just drop gears a bit. Kane Williamson quite laboured his way to run a ball 23. Glenn Phillips didn't quite take off. Would you have been tempted to do anything different to try and keep the tempo going once Finn Allen's wicket fell, or not really?
I mean, like Flem mentioned, it allowed Kane Williamson to sort of settle in as well. If the start wasn't that good, and if Kane Williamson had done a 100 strike rate, then it would have put enormous pressure on Devon Conway. That was one. If you wanted to keep the momentum, maybe a Mitchell Santner to use up those 2 power play overs to just go lose. That could have been maybe, but then you lose a wicket, then the pressure is again on Conway. So yeah, it's very difficult to sort of sit back, but New Zealand would take 200 any day.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, maybe that's why you jokingly said the 20 short, Tom, before we went live.
I think, to be honest with you, if there's any criticism, is they're probably missing 10 runs, and that's the 10 runs you're talking about, that little partnership between Williamson and Conway.
All right, let's get a prediction. 200 odd has been chased in Australia, only at the SCG. So, Stephen, did they have enough?
In a pressure game, yeah, they have enough this time, yes.
Tom?
Yeah, I'm leaning towards New Zealand at the moment, but just looking at the way this pitch is played, it's a very, very good batting surface. So if one of the top order get in, it's going to be a close finish.
Yeah. Would you just want to say, though, just for the satisfaction of Flem's ears, New Zealand to win it? Tom?
By a whisker.
Show me some music, Tom.
No, two out of two have agreed. If an Aussie has agreed that New Zealand have the edge, then I'll go with New Zealand.
All right. It's all harmony at the moment. But we will see where it stands at the end of the game. Thank you, gentlemen. More from you at the end of the first Super 12 encounter on ESPN Cricket for T20 Timeout.